indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is our new pet coordinator, George.
Yep. I wear many hats. You say that too loud, when you want to raise or something.
We need to, hey,
I try not
do you have, do we have the budget that we can sign or anything like that? So why do we have the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, so then do we have to let this person?
Ignore me.
Ignore me.
No, they already joined.
Oh, they already joined.
They already joined.
Jeff, they already joined.
Oh, okay.
Call meeting order, roll call.
Mayor Westergaard.
Yes.
Stankham.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Beckman.
Yes.
Waltman.
Yes. Anybody would like to comment at public forum? Consent agenda, any additions or corrections, if not, a motion to approve.
I'll make that message.
Second.
Message.
Second.
Stankham.
Yes.
Beckman.
Yes.
Waltman.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Frank.
Public works report.
Yeah,
Finished water line, swept the town, dealt with some tree stumps, billboard, put the barricades in front of soaked, mowing, spraying, obviously the electrical issue today, working with that, and just,
can't remember.
camp, fix some stuff at the campground. Splash pad, is almost ready. We got one solenoid that's not working. We can't figure out why yet. Obviously we need the weather to cooperate a little bit with us before we go out there and lay down. Just trying to make sure we're ready for Memorial Weekend and everything that's supposed to be out and up and going is ready.
Thank you, sir. George, you got something for us?
Yeah. So far in this month, 19 days, we had 370 calls for service logged. Been doing a little bit of abatement notices. That's my biggest push right now on my end. Me and Jeff been riding around dealing with some of those. We got new golf cart stickers. So these are going to be the new ones for this year. Also, I got campground seasonal parking passes, so we can enforce that. So they actually have the same exact sticker pretty much, just as Camp Crescent, and it says seasonal parking pass. And there's a city ordinance for that. That was in effect. So at least we'll have a sticker and we can enforce that fully. Towed a vehicle over near the recycling bins over here on public parking that's been parked there for many moons, we'll just say. That vehicle's gone. Probably looking at getting the other one out. If they don't want to move it, we'll move it for them. Other than that, planning, summer, we've been busy. Had graduation, it's a great turnout. Kids are going to be out of school, so we're going to be dealing with them, and that's it.
How much are the stickers for the golf carts again?
$20.
The bargain of half the price. Thank you, George.
Yes, sir.
Administrative report.
I just have a couple items. So item 6, Chris won't be here till close to 6 o'clock, so we'll just have to move down on that a little bit. Then Kay received some information from the city parks campground director, Camp Crescent, about wanting to change hours. And so we just need to grab some input from you more about that before we would just change hours. So we'll gather a little bit more information. Again, also there's some requests for fees for concessions, and again, I hope you don't have to get involved with every time because the prices go up for pop or whatever. Let her set fees that are good for us to make a bit, but I do want to talk a little bit about hours before we would just go and change those.
Is that something that's not on the agenda tonight?
No.
But, you know, I responded to you. I'm not sure why we want to change the hours, but 8 o'clock is awful early, in my opinion, to close the office on the weekends in the summertime.
That's why we need to gather more information.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll have, after the mayor, we'll have to skip number 6 and come back when Chris gets there.
The only report I got is the power's back on. Okay, we'll go to the second reading of ordinance 537, and motion to approve that second reading.
I'll make it.
Second. Roll call.
Jensen?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Beckman?
Yes.
Waltman?
Yes.
Stankham?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 536, second reading on the water utility rate.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mike, was that you on the second?
No.
Okay, Beckman?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Stankham?
Yes.
Waltman?
Yes. Okay, ordinance 535 is the electric utility rate. Is there a motion to approve the second reading? So moved. Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Waltman?
Yes.
Stankham?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Beckman?
Yes.
Okay, we have 2 building permits. Eric's not here.
Yeah, Eric couldn't be here tonight. He felt that the building permits were fairly simple enough that, that there weren't any questions.
There's a motion to approve those permits. So moved. Second?
Second.
Go ahead. Roll call.
Waltman?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Stankham?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Beckman?
Yes.
Okay, we have the business property improvement grant for the corral.
So I tried to call the owner just to confirm that they were done, and I did not get a call back, so whether you want to approve that tonight or wait, because I did not get confirmation. Unless somebody knows that it's done and open.
They are open.
They are open?
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the requirements, Kay, right, that they have to be
Yeah.
open for operation.
Yep, they have to, the project has to be completed and they have to be open.
I don't know about completed, but they're open.
Is it complete? It is, there's just some decorative type things. When I was in there the other day and checked it out, he had me in just to show me around on it. Bolin did, because it's some of the work that he had done, but there's some decorative things and some fascia, like on the front, I think they're gonna still do something
I was
about
gonna
that.
say, wasn't they gonna tuck point the whole building and all that kind of
But I don't
stuff?
know that that was part of this, this part of it. I think that was for the interior of it, the closing and then reopening part.
Do I have put a couple pages of the grant application in there, correct? Facelift on the front of the building, including a new lighted sign, new roll-up glass garage door, new interior lights,
Interior, exterior lights.
exterior lights.
I don't think they were on yet, are
No,
they?
no, the exterior lights aren't on yet. The fascia and the, yeah.
So I'm fine with you tabling that because I haven't gotten
Yep.
any confirmation back.
Yep, let's do that.
Let's just table it. We'll just table it. Okay, building permit grant for the Lakeview Redemption Center.
I'll make a motion to approve that. Second.
Roll call.
Waltman?
Yes.
Beckman?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Stankham?
Yes.
We're gonna discuss the housing expansion ideas.
Well, I was hoping to talk to Chris first before we talked about that, just
You wanna
so,
bring it back?
I would hopefully,
We'll talk about it. We'll move on to the camera. Sign up for another 2 years.
it's your weather cam KPIB.
That's $6,000 a year. Are
It
we
is.
getting that much benefit out of it?
100,000 people see it every night at 10 o'clock. That's what they tell
I
us.
see it, but are we getting any benefit out of it?
It's hard to gauge benefits on average.
Don't we get money back from that 6,000?
No,
No?
no, that's our cost.
That's ours.
Other
Other
businesses
businesses,
have to pay the difference.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I use the camera. Just if it's 11 o'clock at night and I think there's a snowstorm or wondering if it's raining, I pull it up on my phone and look at it.
Or you call me.
Or I call George, but a lot of times I use the camera first.
3 o'clock in the morning, you call.
I think we get a lot of benefit, I
Yeah, it's
get
$500
comments
a month.
from people all the time about it,
You
and,
do.
you know, it's,
there a motion to approve that agreement?
I'll make it.
Second,
Second.
roll call.
Stankham?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Beckman?
Yes.
Waltman?
yes,
Okay, we have final design on the High Street Bridge.
Yeah, so, that's just the supplemental agreement, so this is the bridge that must be headed north out of town,
Yep.
past the viaduct. And so as I'm understanding this project, and again with Conversation K, it's something that we're gonna move forward with. We're gonna pay for it, it sounds like the DOT is gonna reimburse for the project, is my understanding.
Yeah. Because it usually takes years to get on the list to get them bridges done.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we have to pay for the engineering cost. but the other costs will be reimbursed through a federal grant through the DOT.
We did the same thing for the bridge north of TCT.
Okay.
We've done that.
There's also that cost sharing on that with the county. And part of our cost sharing on that is Nick's a certified inspector or something with bridges based off of his position.
He's a certified engineer.
Well, he has to have this other thing
The
for
special bridge inspection.
the bridge thing, and that's gonna be one of their additional, that the county's gonna kick in, otherwise we'd have to pay Calhoun and Burns, and I wanna say the price of it was like $150,000 for them to do the inspection aspect of it, and if we can save that with the county being able to certify and do what they do.
Have a motion to approve agreement number 2.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Frank,
Yes.
Stankham,
Yes.
Waltman,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Now we can talk about the Lake Shore Drive concrete issue.
Okay, so Jim asked to place this on the agenda. Jason, George, and I drove over to that street here one day last week. And while we were there, one of the owners came over and talked to us. So I visited with him for a while. And then on Saturday, I went back and talked to the owner who's impacted with the water coming down the hill. So I've talked to both of those two owners. I've also talked to 10 Point, and he's willing to come up and look at it again, even though he's looked at it. I've tried to call the engineer Sunquist, I believe it is, but I've not gotten a call back from them yet, so I don't have their point of view. 10 Point had given you a bid, I think at one time, for like $5,000 or $6,000 to tear out some of that concrete and to slant it more. It's my understanding this has been kind of an ongoing issue that the council's looked at. He wondered about putting some kind of a rounded bump or dump, or I mean a hump over part of that, so the water couldn't just go towards the lake. It would have to filter along the road like it originally was designed to do. You can definitely tell if you guys has looked at it, it's flat when it gets to this piece of ground that Max Lundgren owns. But I don't know what you wanna do, how you wanna deal with it.
I know the owner that it's impacting calls me regularly to know what we're doing, and if I remember correctly, it's a civil issue, right? And is that really a problem between Max and Lenny and Pat? Is that kind of where that was?
What kind of cost?
That's the stance we've been taking.
Yeah.
Jason had a good idea the other day.
Well, it was brought up in that closed session also, so I don't know if we can discuss it.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody have a good idea? Can we discuss it now?
Do you have any new good ideas?
Any new good ideas, Jason?
Dynamite?
I think we just need to somehow figure out how to put a curb up there along that piece of property.
But again,
Like
it
was
was
just-
a civil issue.
No, it's not really a civil issue, because that street was supposed to have a curb on it. And
Not at that point, because Max did not want a curb in front of his property. He expressed that when the design was there.
The design got changed because of
Oh.
Max's
Right.
request, and now Max's request turns out to be a problem, so whose issue is that?
Well, Max's concrete's kind of a dangerous place, isn't it?
It is
It needs to
absolutely.
be knocked out of there.
I would highly recommend to listen to the closed session meeting on July 14th that Kay has.
Okay,
And that will help inform you based off of what our city attorney who was sitting there during that.
okay. For now, let's do that, revisit it again.
Well, we're not going to the closed session, are we?
No. So we're gonna have a few minutes to, unless you wanna go back and just talk about,
The housing expansion.
yeah, housing expansion.
If anybody's got any ideas, now's the time.
Can this is not on the agenda, but I gave it to Dale if you all would like to look at it. For our public works position that is open, there's all the people that have applied. Jeff and I have gone through those and looked at them. The first ones they say, yes, that's who I would like to interview. And then the other ones that are below that are the ones that we do not feel we need to interview. So if you guys wanna gander and, suggestions, whatever. And then once you guys agree or disagree or whatever, then we can start scheduling interviews and reaching out to you guys to come in for the interview process.
Okay, on the housing deal, what,
Okay, so the housing, we've talked about it for a little bit for the last few meetings. So, we attempted to set up a zoning committee meeting between the last council meeting and this council meeting. The zoning committee, wanted or needed something from the current owner. What's the title that we call it, a zoning change or
Rezoning,
a rezoning form?
yes.
Alright, so they were open, so they are, the current developer and owner, I think they are trying to sell it to a new developer. They would be willing to rezone it to this PUD zoning, but if for some reason that their sale fell through, they want it left as an R5 that you rezoned it to originally. So we talked to the city attorney and he said, no, you can't just, if you're gonna change it to a PUD, you're not gonna say it's gonna go back to an R5. So after that, we were not able then to get a zoning committee meeting scheduled yet. Because there's notice that has to go in the paper for a
Right,
certain
and they
number-
did not turn in a request for rezoning form, and it had to come from the property owner. The one party has a contract to purchase, but if that contract falls through, it has to come from the property owner, so it has to come from the current owners, not the one that has the contract to purchase.
So I know the question of access has gotten brought up multiple times with different people that we've talked to about it. And maybe that's been the issue the whole time, is the access has been the primary issue to this property. And so that's kind of where we are. We have done nothing with it then until, first of all, I think if you were gonna even consider a PUD, we don't have any PUD within our city right now, so it'd be my understanding that you're gonna have to develop guidelines for what does that even mean if you want to have that. Then you would have to consider rezoning it to a PUD, this piece of property.
So we'd have to have the planning and zoning go through the ordinance, and the council would have to do their 3 readings of the ordinance to enact it, to make it actual ordinance, and then we'd have to go through the process with planning and zoning to rezone it to that particular zoning classification once we have enacted it.
well, I got a problem, I guess, looking at their plan. What is their smallest units? How many square feet is that? Have we ever got any, because that don't meet any requirements. You know, we got an ordinance on that it has to be a minimum.
A minimum 700 square feet on the, yep.
And it, just by looking at a brief picture, it don't look like they're anywhere near that.
And even if you did a rezoning of it, the planning and zoning would still have to approve any site plan or any replatting of the land, if that was gonna be the case. The planning and zoning would have to, any replatting of the land would have to go through the council to begin with. And planning and zoning, even if they approved a rezoning of it, would still have to approve a site plan. So it'd be kinda nice to have the site plan in more detail as far as utilities, you know, where's the, you know, the city's gonna have to think about their expense, about where they plan on coming in for the electric, where they plan on coming in for the water, you know, and these types of things, in with that site plan. Any drainage issues you're gonna have. There's basically a lot more to it than just rezoning it to a PUD.
Right.
Then when you go to outlet 20, again, you guys have to help me, what's the term that you're trying, it's
Blight.
blight,
Right,
okay.
right, yep.
But as I understand that, again, Kay's gonna have to help fill in. Right now, you have this whole area that's zoned some way, but
Yep.
you would have to make just the outlet 20 a blight area, so I don't think we've done that piece yet either.
Right,
So
what
they're-
what we started with is the urban renewal area for that area encompasses outlot 20. We talked about separating that out because part of that urban renewal area is on the other side of the highway, and you don't want that as a blighted area. That's where our, new businesses are going, right? So we talked about changing the boundaries of separating those two urban renewal areas out and changing the boundaries of the one on the south side of the road that has outlot 20, and how far did we want to go to create that new urban renewal district. You gotta be a little bit careful about some of the houses that you might include in that. The one boundary we have, I think, goes over to High Street and then comes down and works its way around, down Fifth Street by the what used to be the Egyptian vault, and back on around and back up. So we do have that area sort of mapped out. I don't believe it was ever, that we ever went through with any approval process of separating out and creating that new urban renewal area. And then again, you would have to make it a blighted area in that little section, because you're not gonna want the north side of the road as a blighted area. And in doing so, then it changes, there's different things you can do, in a blighted area that you can't do, different regulations that you can't do in just a regular urban renewal area.
In light of the fact that we need workforce housing and nothing's getting done with that piece of property, I think we need to move forward. There's interest in it from commercial areas willing to put forth the money right away without any infrastructure. No more cost to the city. I think we've sat on this thing long enough. This started prior to my days on the council, which has been 3.5 years.
Well, at least let's put it out there for a bid for proposals. Because there might be some other developer that has interest as well. For housing or for
Commercial, whatever.
commercial, whatever, let them bring the proposals to the city. Does that make sense?
Don't know until you find out.
Right?
Are there other areas in Lakeview that you can consider for residential that would maybe have a smaller capital cost from us as a city? I think there are opportunities that we could at least explore in the city that, might not be able to get 10 or 11 houses in there, but you might be able to get a few.
We started with one.
The housing committee looked at, all the vacant lots around the community, and the ones that they identified, nobody's willing to let go because they're trying to control their neighbor.
Right. But we do have some vacant lots that you can build on today available for sale.
That would have infrastructure there, basically.
We do. There's 1, 2, 3 by North State Road, not on the lake, behind Lakewood there. Them lots are available for sale right now. For the infrastructure's in right there, easy infrastructure. We're not putting in a road. Water and sewer go by there, electrical goes by there. I don't know about the ones across the road over there on East Shore Drive, if any of them are available for sale. No, there's no for sale signs in the yard, but. Now, for somebody to come in, a developer to come in and build something, workforce housing,
Well, Chris is here.
Chris, do you wanna give us some insight on housing?
Yeah, so what are you guys looking for?
well, how does the city of Wall Lake do with their development?
So we buy the land, we put in all the infrastructure, and we sell the lots. The last division that we did, just got done, right, last fall. We got a house going up right now. So we had 10 lots there. Cost us $450,000 to get the street infrastructure put in. Now that doesn't count gas and electric because we put that in ourselves. So, you know, there's a few $1,000s there. The land cost us $85,000 to buy, and
How many acres is that?
5, just a touch over 5.
And you had 10 housing lots out of that?
Yep. But we're figuring out that people want the lots a little bit bigger than what we made them. They like a little bit bigger. We got 100, between 99 and 105 foot front, and they like a little bit bigger one than that. So, but that's for you guys to figure out. But then, so we do all of that, and then we use TIF to pay a portion of that back. Now, TIF only works after you get a house or 2 built, and there's a timing thing there that once you get the subdivision done, you don't want to certify that debt right away, because if you don't have a house built there, then you lose the years until the house is built. So you want to wait until a house is built and then you certify the debt, and that's you know, something that you get figured out.
When you're selling the lot to person A that's gonna build a new home,
Right.
they have so long to do it?
In this subdivision, we did that, yes. We gave them 18 months to build. We put a stipulation on how big the house has to be, or the livable space. You know, they can build a garage as big as they want. The livable space has to be 1,800 square feet. Unless you buy 2 lots and put them together, then it's gotta be 2,800 square feet. Valuation is obviously what you're looking for, right? Because that's how you earn your money, that's how you make revenue. So in a nutshell, it costs, you know, about $60,000 per lot, roughly. And then we sell them for 20, and we get money back in tax revenue over the years. Today we're getting, we've got a $45,000 payment on the last subdivision that we did in 2013, and today we're getting $28,000 to $30,000 in TIF dollars to pay for that $45,000. So you can't use debt service and TIF at the same time. Okay, so when you go borrow money, you use debt service to pay for that, you levy those taxes, you pay for your debt. But if you're gonna TIF it, then you have to use TIF first and then debt service. Otherwise, you're double taxing, and so. I mean, it kind of depends on how you guys wanna do it, but over in Wall Lake, we kinda like to have the control of who's selling the lot and you know, that kind of thing. Then we could put some of our own rules on it, right?
Regulations and.
Right. You can't buy a lot and resell it, you know, you can't, there's just some certain things that you can't do.
When you guys put the infrastructure in the streets and stuff, did you hire local contractors for that?
That you hire an engineer for, and then you have to bid that out. So did we get a local contractor? Yeah, we got a guy from Odie Bolt, Empire Excavation. Did a wonderful job on the street and everything so far, you know. Haven't had any trouble yet. I mean, it works really well for us. Sure, you got 10 or 15 years, whatever you borrow the money for, that you gotta get that paid off. But you kinda have the control and
But you're getting your money back in 15 years, or close?
yeah, I'd say be close. Yeah, it depends on how fast the houses go up, Dale, you know, if you.
Right, yep.
If you, like in the previous subdivision, we built it in 13, 14, and the first house didn't go in until 17. But then between 17 and 24, all 10 lots were done. And this one looks like,
How many units do you have on that then?
that one was 10, this one is 10.
You got 10 units on it, or you had 10 lots?
10, oh, units, houses. No, yeah, we had 10 lots, so we've got, we actually doubled up on 4 lots. So we've got
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 houses there. 3 of those are shouses, which, you know, I know there's give and take with that. If you have a house built, the valuation of it is about 70% of a house, roughly. Which, you know, whatever that means. But
So, did you inquire to the people for the ground, or how were you made known that there would be ground available, or did you approach people, or did they approach you? How did that work?
Well, the people that own the ground north of Wall Lake are Gus Schrader's family, and so they've told me for years that if we need more land, they'll sell it.
Okay.
They're very generous.
And so, right, they're very, very, very good to the city of Wall Lake, and so that's, you know, that could be an issue. I don't, you know where you guys are buying or what you're buying, but
That's a plus for you guys right now.
it's a huge deal for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, because farmers don't wanna sell land, which I completely understand. That's an asset for them, you know? It's making them money, so they sell it. No, they're not making more of it, that's for sure. But yeah, the whole process, you gotta hire an engineer, they you know, they design it, you guys look at it and look at the design and see if you like it or not, wanna change it, add a lot, take a lot out, make the lots bigger, make them smaller, whatever you wanna do.
So this last one, you just did another 10 one, or you're on, in the process right now?
Well, no, it got done last fall, got built last fall, and there's a house going up in it right now.
So that infrastructure was 450?
Yeah, 453.
So.
For the street.
That was the street, the storm sewer, and the sanitary sewer.
Okay, and then you did the
And water.
electric and the natural gas.
We did the electric and
You
natural
did
gas.
it.
We're in the process of doing that right now.
With employees, or you hired that out? With employees?
Yeah. Yeah, that's only, you know, I don't know, 400 feet. So, that's not a huge deal for our guys to put that in.
So, how long was the street?
Well, there's 2 of them. One goes north, and I wanna say it goes north about 450 feet. And then, one comes off in the middle of that, one comes off and goes to the west, and that's probably 150 feet or so.
Approximately 500 feet.
Yeah.
You got a
Less than
cul-de-sac
600.
down, or-
No,
Nope, just dead end street.
cul-de-sacs are difficult, cause, I mean, they're really good to live on, but they're difficult to push snow on. And so, if we don't have to do that, we're not gonna.
What engineering firm are you using?
Right,
Around
yeah,
there,
you
just
lose
kind of
property that way,
space.
right. What'd you say, Dale?
What's the name of the engineering firm you use?
Snyder and Associates, Dave Sturm, graduated from East Sac County. He
He
does a
did the
lot,
road by Boulders years ago.
yeah, he's done some work for you
Yeah,
guys.
he's
right?
done.
They're out of Atlantic.
Both Dave and Danny work for me, I think.
I think Danny works for JEO,
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
but we don't do anything with them, so I really don't know.
So for you, it's been a positive experience. You have to understand that there's, by the time you put the infrastructure in, have you had enough cash to help put the infrastructure in, or have you borrowed right from the beginning? How did you do that?
So that's one thing, yeah, we had cash, and the cash, is more to pay the engineer, probably. So, so you don't have to have a ton of cash, you know, probably 100,000, 150 at most, but you want a bond before the work starts, because unless you've got, you know, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 laying around, whatever it costs. But your first step is to get a hold of an engineer, whoever you guys work with, and have them look at the project. They'll be able to give you an estimate on cost. And generally, they're pretty close. These guys were thinking it was gonna be 600,000 for us, and it came in at 450. Timing is a big deal. In my experience, if you wanna do a subdivision, you wanna have that ready to be bid in January or February. That's when contractors are hungry, and when you get your best prices, so. But yeah, your first step is to get your engineer and get a design.
So, again, as a council, you can speak, so do you think that costs are inflated because the city's doing this compared to a private person doing this or
No
not?
question at all.
They are?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes. Everything that a city does, costs are inflated. Yeah. And sure, development is probably the same thing. And you know what? We thought about doing a development with a developer and we didn't ever get to the end of that. But I couldn't quite figure out how that would work for the city and because if we still had to put the street in, we still had that cost. And then he or she, whatever that would be, got to sell all the land. I didn't understand how that all worked out, so. And it ended up, we didn't go down that road, but if you guys have done that before, you guys have a better idea of how that works. But to me, it just works better for us to own the land and then we get to sell it. Sure, we bear the cost and you know, we have the liability, but then we get all the goodie out of it too, I guess you'd say. And in our last budget, just in January, we had a few people asking questions about this subdivision. You know, why do we have to pay for this if we're not living there? And basically, what the answer is at least what answer I gave them is, you know, this benefits the whole community. Even though you're not going to live there, it's making the valuation of the community come up, and eventually it will decrease our tax levy once we get that all paid for. Assuming we don't have to build another one, which if we do, I think that's a good deal, right? I mean, if you're not growing, you're going backwards, and that's a tough place to be in a small community, so. Some of my thoughts, I guess.
Anybody have any more questions?
yeah, I asked Chris to come over to pick his brain, so pick away.
And these are the type of things, you know, guys, when you hear them, it's difficult to come up with questions, but when you go home tonight and you're talking with your wife or whatever you're doing, you might come up with some questions. Don't be afraid to call me. I think most of you guys probably have my cell phone number.
How wide is the street?
We usually make ours 31 feet back of curb to back of curb. It's the best way to have like traffic flow 2 ways and maybe one side parking. Now, we don't restrict parking on either side, but
People figured that out.
people kind of figure that out. Every once in a while you have people that don't, but you know, too wide of a street obviously costs more money, too narrow makes traffic a little bit more difficult. But I would say that whatever you guys have done here in town would probably be what you'd want to continue to do.
We have one street that's a little too narrow right now, but, so that's why if we do something, we wanna make sure it's wide enough.
Sometimes those narrow streets aren't bad, you slow traffic down. I mean,
Well,
that's not a
the
bad
one I'm
thing.
talking about has parking on both sides, and then there was an emergency situation where we couldn't get through, so.
Then you can't get through,
Yeah.
That, and that's bad.
Right.
Right, I understand that, yeah.
But I think we, what, we talking 33 or 31?
I thought we were talking 30,
3?
yeah.
I believe 33.
I think 33 is, yeah, so that's why I asked that question.
Yep.
Yeah, all of ours that we've done are 31.
If a developer comes into your town today and has a piece of ground to make a development, what is your ordinance for the city's responsibility compared to the developer's responsibility?
See, that's the thing that we don't have, Dale. We don't have an ordinance that says that. We would have to come up with some kind of an agreement, and I talked to our engineer a little bit about it, and he said that there's so many, there's not, you know, there's not anything that's written that says that you have to do this. Now, obviously, water, sewer, and electric and gas, since those are our utilities, we would have to supply that, right? So we would bear the cost for that. The street is where you really would have to argue, you know, who's gonna pay for the
See,
street?
I think on our ordinance right now, we do the electric, water,
And sewer.
No.
Sewer is up to the
Sewer
person.
and street,
Well,
Typically
but,
the
so,
developers
so
have
listen,
done.
yeah, maybe talking about a couple of different things. You would put the sewer main in probably, but they have to get to the main.
Right.
And so that's another whole different thing. Water goes to curb stop, sewer goes all the way to the main. I don't know if that's what you guys are talking about.
Well, we put in the sewer main, right?
Correct.
We don't.
Yeah, we put in the line when we did ours, and then there was a,
you put it in the main when you did yours.
Mm-hmm.
You did the main and the street. Yeah, we just did the water to
Then we
electric.
do the water and electric. And then when whoever puts the street in does the storm sewer. Right?
that's the way we
That's what
did
you
it.
did.
Right. So like if a developer comes today, that's in our, I believe we have an ordinance for that.
In our
But-
subdivision ordinance.
That's
maybe.
not, yeah, but I think our big hangup right now is, well, our big hurdle is they want us to help pay for the street too. And
And that's the thing, street's the most expensive piece.
and then once we do that, we never are gonna recoup the cost.
You will eventually. I mean, you're gonna get taxes out of those houses that are built there forever, so
If
you will
one's built right-
eventually.
If one's built right away.
Right, and that's the big thing.
Because
is-
we have a development on the east side of the lake right now that we don't even have one completed house built, and that thing was 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah.
That's, you know, you put the.
That's the gamble that you take.
Yeah. Grants, have you ever been able to get any grants, small town grants or?
Not for that, no.
Okay.
No, they don't, I've asked several times, I ask Region 12 every time we build a subdivision, and they continue to tell me no. So, no, TIF is your real tool there.
And are you, on the TIF side of things, are you recouping 66% then with the TIF and then the other percents go to school yet?
No, we take it all. So the way TIF works, Dale, is you have a piece of property that's worth $1. I build a house that's worth $100, right? So, and then I pay taxes on that 101. You get the $100 tax, everybody else gets the $1 tax, and you get that for 11 years.
Right, but I thought the school always got the taxes.
Well, I think there's still the Pebble tax or something that they are able to keep.
Your debt service, whatever debt service is on that piece of land, which is only gonna be you as the city, is what you don't get in TIF. You don't get any debt service, and there's a couple of other pretty small ones, I don't know if Pebble's one of them, but, debt service is the one that we run into if we have any debt service on any of the land, or any of the, infrastructure that's there, you don't get that.
I thought the school got backfilled by the county or the state. Did they quit doing that?
Yeah, and there's a backfill, but it's not the whole thing, but, you know, so here's the way that you look at it. As a governmental entity, right, you guys are getting the taxes because you guys put up the dollars to put the infrastructure in. The school and the county aren't getting those, but before the property was a property, they weren't getting anything either. So they're maybe not happy to give that up, but they will eventually get that. So you can do it one of two ways. You can do it 11 years if you just do it, but then you can go to the school and the county and you can ask them for an extra 5 years. And I haven't had any trouble with either one of them the last couple of times that we've done that. So you can get 16 years worth of TIF taxes. And really the only way TIF taxes is no increase in taxes or anything like that. That lowers your debt service levy. Okay, that's all that does. So it lowers your total ask.
So in these new development areas, like the one you got where the house is going up now, do you guys do a tax
Abatement?
abatement?
No, we've never done that.
And I think that's something we need to look at here.
No, that's difficult because if you're gonna give them tax abatement and try to get TIF off of it,
How do you, right,
Yeah.
it's a,
Double
yeah,
whammy.
double
yeah,
negative.
you get hammered, so that doesn't work very well.
What else did we try to think of?
Mike, didn't we vote that,
Pardon?
didn't we vote that in to get rid of
I thought so.
We discussed.
We discussed it, we haven't actually gone through the process to
To
eliminate it.
get rid of the abatement part.
Yeah, yeah.
I just think you have a resource within 5 miles if Chris is willing to help us out a little bit and to at least explore other options. I'm not trying to take you away from the developer option, because we already have that as something that you consider. But you have another idea that you could at least consider.
Correct.
Before you make a final decision, which way you wanna go. And I've all heard today, housing is important to us. We want to try to expand housing somehow.
And that idea, Dale has brought up before from time to time about why aren't we doing it versus having a developer do it.
And if you look at the cost that they went through versus the cost that we were being asked
Yeah.
to fund, you're not too far off between
Correct.
the first and the second amounts and what they spent.
And then the point with that is we still have, like you said, the control.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess that's the biggest thing for me anyway, and I think, you know, our council too, that's the way we've always done it, so. But yeah, I mean, guys, Jeff's got my cell phone, most of you guys do, if you have a question, something comes up, just give me a call. You know, it's easy for me to talk on the phone.
I have a question. So like you stated there that if they buy the lot, they can't resell the lot.
Right.
So what happens if Whitey buys a lot and then goes, nah, does he have to sell that back to the city or?
Yeah, that reverts right back to the city, and then, we've never had that happen actually, Jason, but yes, that would come back to the city, we would have to reimburse him, but, you know, there are some expenses in that. You've got a deed that you've gotta prepare, you've got a, abstract that you've gotta prepare, and both of those are pretty expensive, so I think we would keep some of that cost. Yeah, but yes, that would have to go back to the city. We had trouble with that, in the last one. We had some people buy some lots, and then, so, like I said before, we've got 2 houses that are built on 4 lots, and, one of them's a $500,000 valuation house, which is a pretty nice house, right? You split that up on 2 lots and you got $250,000 apiece, that's not really a very nice house, that's brand new. And so, you know, that's just money out of our pocket, and so.
So what are the valuations on the houses that are on single lots?
Oh, good question.
They're going up.
Yeah, they're certainly, they're going up like all of them. I mean, we've got a 420, we've probably got another 475, and then we've got those houses, we've got a brand new house that's, I mean, a big building, and it's only $340,000 valuation, you know, and so that.
Is that on one of the double lots?
Yep. Yeah, there's one on a single lot, well, 2 on a single lot and then 1 on a double lot, and yeah, so that definitely hurts.
You got some nice sized lots then, too. I'm gonna say 105 by,
Well, and these are a little bit different, the 2 lots that are on the north side of Seventh Street those were 18,000 square foot lots, so that's damn near an acre that
Yeah.
one is built on in town, that's unheard of.
If I build the house on the lot, then I could sell it though again, I just can't sell my vacant lot, or how
Right,
does that
you
work?
can sell, yeah, you can sell the house, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what you're saying is you had $60,000 in cost, you're selling it for 20, you're not asking somebody to sell it now for $40,000 and make some money off of it.
Right.
Developing it,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah, our whole thing is if you buy a lot, we want you to build something on it. That's gonna give us valuation so we can get money back.
Which in the end, the developer could then say, I'm willing to take a risk, for 20,000, I'm buying a lot, I'm gonna build a house,
yeah,
and then if I chose to sell it, I choose to sell it.
We've got a contractor doing that, gonna start here within the next couple of months. He's gonna build a house and sell it. So, he's got a house in the other subdivision. Yep. And I hope it works out for him and he builds another one.
Yeah, that can be one of your best assets, to show somebody doing that.
Absolutely.
Not everybody wants to go through the process of finding a contractor and building a house themselves. They'd prefer to buy one
Right.
that's already done, a brand new for them.
Some people wanna have that control and say, this is how big I want my bathroom to be, and some people wanna just move into something. You know, I don't, it's not for me to say.
I wanna move into the one that has the safe that's already filled.
You're not gonna find that one, Dale.
Well, Chris, I greatly appreciate the knowledge and the information that you're sharing with us.
Thank you, Chris.
So thank you for coming over,
No problem.
and I do know your number, so I will call you if I have questions.
Jeff is not afraid to
Building the
come.
house now?
Huh?
Who's building the house now?
Greg Schrader, Jaron Schrader, actually, Greg's son. And then Cord Horsley's gonna start building one here pretty soon, Horsley Construction,
Yeah.
so, and actually Greg and Jaron are gonna start building the second one.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
See you, Chris.
Yep.
Didn't realize.
You wanna talk about the housing expansion ideas, or is that dead?
I think I'm sure you talk a little bit more, right?
Okay,
I've only been here 6 hours.
yeah, the motion to adjourn.
I guess.
He wanted to talk a little more, he said.
That's all right, I just think what's fresh in our mind. I think one thing, so he made a comment that the engineer can come out and give us an estimate on design, and we don't charge him for that, until they do the engineering piece, right?
Give you a rough overview, kind
Yeah,
of thought.
isn't that what he said, for no fee?
I believe so.
So, I'll use this example, for all out 20.
Have somebody come in and draw up some plans, just an idea for us.
Well, give us a rough idea of what the infrastructure is.
Exactly. Yeah, again, if we're X amount of dollars in the hole, giving it away, why not be X amount of dollars in the hole and be in control?
Right. I think it's something worth looking at, as well as, do we wanna put, we can do both at the same time, we can put it out for bids for proposals. And move forward that way.
Well, another thing that I heard him say, and I think you talked a little bit about it, if you're gonna give TIF and tax abatement, do you really wanna be doing both?
No, we can't.
Well, if you give a tax abatement, you don't get to TIF taxes, because you just abated 90, 80, 70, 60.
Right, and I think we need to get that on the agenda for the next meeting, what we talked about, and eliminate that.
See if we need to do a resolution, or if it's an ordinance change, or what we need to do to get rid of the tax abatements.
Figure out what we gotta do there, that would be great.
We talked about it.
We talked
We talked about getting rid of it, but it's more than, I think, just a motion vote on it.
I might be white, I thought we did too.
Well, I'll go back and look, but I don't remember.
I know we didn't.
Anybody have anything else?
No.
Motion to adjourn,
I'll make it.
second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
6 hours and a half. I'll see them.